Hey everybody, welcome to your post-show episode of the Pensky Podcast. We just got done talking about Scorpion. My tongue is tripping me up as I go through all this stuff. Clay, how are you?
I'm good. I've been
Ready
stung.
for Q&A?
I've been stung by the Scorpion.
I've been bitten by the fox and stung by the Scorpion. And here we are to talk about our special Q&A session. So if you guys support the show on Patreon, at the Captain tier, you can watch the live stream recording. You can leave some questions, and you can put questions into our little Discord chat room that we have, and then we answer a couple of them. If we run out of questions, maybe we'll talk about something that we've been watching. We'll start to bleed all the content together, Clay. I think at that point.
We could move the Rush conversation we had on the Deadwood podcast.
Yes, I know. I might just start
here.
might just start intercutting things into to make things make sense. So let's go to our first comment, which is from Royo. You guys seemed fairly lukewarm about Scorpion. Spoilers. Did Ent have any better episodes than this?
That was like 2 years ago, man. I don't know.
The one where Reed and Mayweather are taken over by those little TOS aliens. Not the Ocampans. They're in Errand of Mercy. Those guys, those little things, it's a callback to the TOS. They get possessed by the little spirit creatures and they like sort of walk around and comment on the ship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's my favorite Enterprise episode, I think. And I think that that's better than Scorpion is.
Yeah, what was
Observer
the other one?
Effect. Thank you. He named
that
it
one everybody loves from Enterprise early on.
The one with the naked women dancing around?
No. It's like
They have the one where Trip is cloned. They have the one where there's the Borg in it. They have the Zindiark.
Yeah, I'm thinking of one like in the early first season or something. It was like the first 5 or something. Or
well, I mean,
I'm bad at this, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, all it goes to show is that some of the series have many more better episodes than other ones. I would say that Observer Effect, and maybe there's one or two others of Enterprise, is better than Scorpion, but Scorpion is better than most of the Enterprise episodes, right?
Yeah, I would say that.
That seems fair. That's not uncontroversial. I just
that one they go to the Detroit.
That one's good. Arch orders a burger. He doesn't know how drive-thrus work, and he's like, "Give me a hamburger." Yeah, I just if I were to rank them all, like Scorpion's a top 30 episode of Star Trek. It's like, it's not, there's 10,000 episodes. Like being in the top 30 is pretty good, but it's not a, every time I look at the list, I'm struck by how few 5s we've given out to all the episodes that we've done. There's not a lot that are like, wow, these are great banger episodes here that we must include on a watch. Yeah. So I would say Observer Effect is better. Maybe there's one or two other ones. This is not the right question. Here we go. Hat89 says, in the same circumstances of Scorpion, what decision would you have made? So would you side with Chakotay or Janeway?
I guess it depends on the number of people. If letting them be is potentially more harmful than letting them destroy the Borg, then I guess I would probably, it's a needs of the many situation probably, where
very Borgy.
I would probably go make a deal with the Borg. Although to be fair, have they even tried to talk to, they very briefly try to talk to the number of people, right?
Yeah, they only communicate with Kes. We didn't even talk about that Kes is the one who can communicate with them. Yeah. What's she doing? She's not helping out. No, she wasn't doing anything.
Answer their emails. Maybe they just want to borrow some sugar or something.
I mean, the analogy is like the modern day analogy is you work with a country, the U.S. works with a country like Saudi Arabia to defeat ISIS, right? That's the analogy, really, is that like you work with a group of people who are objectively not great, or the government is not great, if you want to say that or whatever, against a group of people who are objectively worse than that. Right, so that's the deal with the devil type thing. And in that case, you work with the Borg. You do Janeway's route, I think, here. Chakotay's decision is fairly naive, I think, really. Like what even is his solution to that? He's just like, let's just go the other way. Let's just run away from all this.
I forget. Yeah.
It's just, I think it's just turn around. So
I feel like the first conversation they have, she does say like, sometimes I wonder if we shouldn't just find a planet somewhere and settle down. Yeah. He's like, would that be so bad? Which seems to be, as I was saying, the thing that he always does.
That's his go-to.
But I don't think his argument is specifically that once they get into it, but I think
he wants to go around Borg space and it'll take longer, but that's fine with him. And that'll be the way that it goes. So yeah, it's, I find Janeway's argument is more realistic to me, I think.
I do.
For better, for worse.
If I was on that ship, my first instinct, if there was like a ready room situation, let's not say that I was Janeway, but if I was just like one of the officers and we were discussing this, my first instinct as we get our first information would probably be, so let them destroy the fucking Borg. Why do we care?
Mm-hmm.
Why? And then obviously that probably would change the more information we got. But like
once you learn about what they are about, species 8472.
But on the surface, it seems like a win-win.
Yes,
but things rarely are.
Is that we talked about it. Is that the better conflict? If 8472 wasn't a galactic threat, is that a better Star Trek issue, that it's a concern about whether or not it's correct to allow this to happen, than it is work with the devil to beat the bigger devil that's down the road?
It's tough. I think it's really tough. Because they spent so much time making the Borg into this sort of straight up evil force, that it is difficult to argue that, I think, in any realistic way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe that is where the interesting element comes from, is you are, because it's it would be the kind of thing. I feel like they've done this before, where the evil race, the melty people, right? They've got that disease that's killing them. And
the Vidians.
The
Vidians.
And isn't there like a deal where Voyager has figured out how to stop that disease that they have, and they kind of have this ethical thing where it's like, well, these guys kind of suck. Should we help them just because we can?
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, the Borg, I think it's a more interesting question with the Borg, because the Borg are a much more known quantity.
Yeah. They kind of do it with the Founders too, because the Founders have that sickness that they cure. But that's what I like about
what? I think that's probably what I'm thinking of is the Founders. Yeah.
I like that because that feels narratively satisfying to me, because it is very transactional in that sense. It's like, it's not just about helping the Founders. It's to end the war. This is the thing that you have and you can give them. So
Hat 89 has the George Patton solution, which is let species 8472 kill the Borg, then use the weapon against them if they don't negotiate. Which was after World War II. Patton was like, all right, great, we've won the war. We need to invade Russia right now.
Take it over. Take them down. Things would have been different. Let's see here with the final question. We'll go with Christian's question. How would you balance, so it's a rewrite of if we were to redo Voyager. This is our final question. How would you balance the Starfleet Maquis tension plot without the plot devolving into melodrama and backstabbing, well outside the realm of believability for Starfleet officers, or just outright not feeling like Trek? So if we were to rewrite this and the Maquis plot line was to be a focus of it.
I don't think it needs to be like a straight versus situation every time.
It's not a constant mutiny is the only way that you can do this. It's just different political groups.
Yeah, there has to, like, I feel like the show has insulated itself against that a bit by putting them in a situation that is not like a mutiny won't fix the situation. Though the last episode Tuvok seemed to think that maybe they thought it might, but like
it might work for us.
Yeah. Like if Chakotay, if the Maquis took over the ship, they're still 75 years away, and I know that they're trying to play with, well, it's the Federation guidelines that are holding us back. It's like, yeah, but what's a few miles between friends, But yeah, I think there just needs to be, your alliance can be uneasy and your ethics can clash. I don't think it needs to be a constant mutiny or a constant backstabbing, or doesn't need to be Game of Thrones,
No, I think it has to be. What would it be? It would just be, because they are bound by, they all want to get home and this is the only ship that they have, right? So it becomes less about a mutiny and less about that Hollow novel that Tuvok wrote, like worst case scenario type thing. And it becomes much more of a, what I liked about worst case scenario, and that I think that if you redid the show, you could do it, is that Chakotay and B'Elanna having conversations that are personal and do not involve other crew members knowing what they're talking about is the basis for what Voyager should have been. Like there's a sense of like the Starfleet Order is holding together a group that is actually somewhat splintery underneath the order of Starfleet right there. So it's like, it's because even DS9 didn't go that direction. There was never like an overt, like we're just falling apart as we're doing this. But there's a constant need for, and they share a goal of wanting to survive. But I think like interpersonal conflict should have played a huge part of Voyager. There should just be like cliques aboard the ship all the time, and that there's like people don't like each other and stuff like that. And I think that would have been good. That would have propelled the show for quite a distance, I think.
Yeah. I think, excuse me. I think having situations like, all right, they have a thing that they need to get to that will help them get home faster or whatever. But in order to get that thing, there's an ethical disagreement as to how to get that thing. And Chakotay, let's just use Chakotay for an example. Chakotay and Janeway butt heads. Chakotay is like, fine, you're the captain, whatever. And then Chakotay goes, all right, Maquis guys, let's go get this fucking thing. And then he gets the thing, and it benefits the ship. And now Janeway has to reconcile the fact that the Maquis didn't do things the way the Federation did it, but it ended up helping the ship. Like that kind of thing. That's the kind of back and forth I think you could have that would keep things interesting, where,
I mean, that plays into the power dynamics of the role too. Like if Chakotay succeeds, Janeway's authority is diminished, right? Because it's the crew. And the other thing you have to do is I think you have to show the degradation of culture on this journey home. Like things have to start breaking down a little bit. Like crime has to happen on Voyager, stuff like that. Like there has to be a real sense that, we're doing Deadwood, but you have to have Voyager start to feel like a town, really, which is that there's some unsavory people in here and stuff like that. And Voyager's problem is that it's just too happy. The characters just don't disagree with each other about anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you could have things too where the things that the Maquis guys do ultimately benefit, but Janeway doesn't find out that they did those things, where it's, like they end up assassinating someone who doesn't do something that doesn't fuck them up, that kind of thing.
Right. And all the characters don't find out. There's like secrets. Like the characters don't know everything about everybody else. Yeah.
Or some situations Janeway does know, and Janeway knows that she can't tell anybody, because that would be worse too. And then you can go the other way where Maquis think one thing, Federation thinks the other, Federation ends up being the way to go. I think that constant push and pull would be a lot more engaging on an episode to episode basis.
Agreed. Voyager could have been a good show. It had the idea there. Yeah. They didn't want to do anything with it. All right, cool. We'll call it a day there. Thanks everybody for joining us on this Q&A session. Thanks for all the questions, Hat 89, Royo, and Christian. We'll be back next week with our next Q&A. And what's that? Scorpion, or the wrap up too, is after this, and then Scorpion part 2. So thanks everybody. Support the show at patreon.com/the Pensky File. All the other podcasts are out there. You guys know about it. That's it. Clay, do you have anything you want to say, or are we done?
I think we're done.
We're done. Thanks everybody. We will see you next time. All right. Thanks, live stream viewers. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys.
We are going to turn off the live stream now. We'll see you later. Have a good weekend.
Wait,
long weekend.
Before you do that,
Yeah.
I'm running a charity auction tomorrow on
All
Friday
right.
the 13th, starting at 10 a.m. I'm auctioning off 12 Jason Voorhees drawings that I did. So if you go to ebay.com/USR/C McCormick, you'll find all of them there starting at 10 o'clock.
And you have a sketch of 847 you told me before this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's wearing a Jason mask though. So
And he's got
You have
4
to
legs.
guess. You have to guess which one of the Jasons is actually 8472.
All right, guys, we'll see you later.